Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Exceeding the Crown. If you don't know, my name is Brittany Joy, and this season, Exceeding the Crown presents divorce, not damage. And today, we are talking about why divorce exposes some childhood wounds. Listen, I have clinical psychologist Dr. Browning joining me today for this conversation. It's going to be a great one. She's going to give some great nuggets and tips. You don't want to miss this. So, let's go. Hey everyone, and welcome to this conversation of why divorce exposes childhood wounds. I have clinical psychologist Dr. Browning here for this conversation. So, can you share with us a little bit of your professional background and what made you get into this practice?
Yes, so as a clinical psychologist, I primarily see individuals for therapy, individuals and couples, as well as do consultations. Initially, was interested in forensic psychology, so more of the criminal. Then I realized I was way too paranoid to be working with criminals.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So I shifted over to more of the clinical side of the house, and specifically working with military and veterans.
Okay. So, in your practice, obviously, you've come through and you've seen plenty of married people going through this divorce, and especially having the niche of military. In your experience, what you've studied, why does divorce activate childhood wounds? Like, what is it about divorce that then brings that up?
It's almost as if you're re-experiencing the trauma again as a child. So if, let's say, my parents went through a divorce when I was younger, usually divorces are not sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
They're typically tumultuous. There is a lot of wounds that are created. And what happens is when we grow as adults and we go through a similar process, we're re-traumatized again, or we see the similarities in the two experiences.
So, what if divorce, unfortunately, is very common? But what if the either party, their parents weren't divorced? Like, do you still see childhood wounds coming up for them, or is it really just divorce act triggers divorce?
No, I would say even a individual who has parents that are intact that may still be married, it may not be a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
It could have been a marriage that was full of domestic violence.
Yeah.
It could have been a marriage that they were more roommates, so you didn't see any type of positive relationship that was occurring. So then that individual also comes into the relationship as, well, this is what I saw as a child.
Okay. And so what about what type of early experiences tend to resurface during divorce?
What type of early experiences resurface?
Yeah.
If you think of attachment styles,
Okay.
so if I grew up in a household where I knew that my parents were going to pick me up after school and I felt secure and knew they were going to come back and get me, then I would feel that security typically in my current relationship. However, let's say that I had a parent that was very avoidant, didn't really interact with me. Maybe when they did interact with me, they created a lot of fear, and I was scared of them. So, as an adult in a relationship, we can also see that fear comes back. Well, fear of, okay, am I unworthy of love? Am I not going to find someone who appreciates me? Am I worthless? Because I may have felt worthless too as a child.
So when going through the divorce and it's bringing up these childhood wounds, which do you feel like you try to tackle first?
It all depends because everyone is so different and your experiences are so different, and how we relate to people, how we interact with people. One person may say, okay, I really want to work on my confidence or my worthiness. And really, you have to turn it over to the client or the patient, say, what do you think is the best place to start? And typically, I tell people to build a hierarchy of traumas, essentially, that they want to tackle. And we usually start with the one that's the easiest, because as you move on to the more traumatic periods, it's going to be more difficult.
So before I even get to the divorce part, right? What are these things that maybe because we're not promoting divorce. We're not promoting divorce. So what maybe can someone do if they're still kind of in that in between stage where they want a divorce but they don't think of divorce? Could it simply be like their childhood wounds are being triggered?
It could be. A lot of times people will stay in a relationship out of fear because they don't know what's next or
Mm-hmm.
the unknown. Everyone fears the unknown for the most part, but not knowing what may or may not happen whenever the relationship does end.
Hmm. So what would be your advice, like especially when we get into like attachment styles? I know that's a big thing right now. What would be your advice for people who maybe are more of a avoidant versus anxious?
Someone who's avoidant, you don't have to work on being uncomfortable in the unknown. So really trying to figure out what emotions are coming up
Mm,
whenever I start to think about separating, or if I'm thinking about ending my relationship. It's really building that confidence
hmm.
if they are avoidant, and then really understanding their own personal values of, okay, what do I want to do next
Mm.
versus playing on the emotional. You want to balance the emotional and the rational.
Okay.
And typically, avoidant leads to more of an emotional type of mind.
How do you know if you're avoided or anxious?
That's a great question. Um, I think the two can coexist.
Okay.
Anxiety, if you think about what anxiety looks like, is going to be um, fear driven, and then also avoidant is fear driven.
Mm,
But it's more of like, okay, what's the core belief that is facilitating into that? Is it fear of abandonment? Is it fear of being alone? Or is it fear of I don't know what could happen?
mm,
Or fear that you, if it is an abusive relationship and my partner is emotionally abusive, maybe it's avoiding that, being afraid that, okay, how they will emotionally react.
mm.
So you avoid the conflict.
So how do you begin to even like how do you begin to even heal those wounds? So like if someone's watching this and they are going through the divorce, ending the divorce, and they can feel those type of fears coming back up,
Mhm.
like how can they even start to heal that?
So there's a couple of ways. One is really about grounding ourselves in the present moment. Because if you think about trauma, how trauma occurs, it's almost that we transform back to where we were.
Mm,
So what's going on right now? And a good exercise that I encourage people to do is called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So it's where you use your senses. So what are 5 things that you see? What are 4 things you can hear? 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. And it really helps you get to where you're literally in the present moment.
mm.
Another way is really sitting in the discomfort with your emotions.
Those are gross.
They are.
Those
Emotions
are
are
gross.
not great. If you think about it, though, it's a self soothing technique.
Mm,
If you think about kids, like whenever they get upset, like if they're in a secure attachment with their parent, like they go to their parent for comfort.
yeah.
Well, as adults, we have to figure out ways that we can outsource our comfort. It could be things that we enjoy, hobbies, um, reading our favorite book. It could be eating our favorite meal, something that helps
Mhm.
us kind of like cozy up with ourselves and just be able to feel safe and secure.
So, uh, especially so someone that got a divorce or they've gone through a divorce, how can they become secure enough before they can get to another relationship? Because if you are anxious or you are avoidant, obviously that's something that needs to be healed
Hmm.
or confronted to the point of being secure. So, what does being secure look like in order to not bring that same thing into like maybe a next marriage or relationship?
I think about, I always tell people to compare it to having a rucksack or a backpack. all of the wounds, all the traumas are rocks that we put into our backpack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay before I could get into a relationship, because if I go into a next relationship with a full backpack of rocks,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm just bringing that into that current relationship. So I don't think there's a necessary time frame, but it's more of a process
Okay.
of how can I take these rocks out, examine them, challenge them, because a lot of times we develop these negative beliefs that I can't trust anyone. So it's very all or nothing thinking.
Mm-hmm.
If I go into a relationship and my belief is that I can't trust anyone,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? I'm not going to trust my
Yeah, you can't
partner.
trust anybody. Yeah.
So it's examining those core beliefs and being able to start to challenge them. And then how a lot of times people have to learn what a healthy relationship looks like.
So how can someone do that? Because I've also heard people be like, you can heal in a relationship. And I was married, and I feel like even talking to other married people, I feel like sometimes when you're in a marriage or in a relationship, you don't really realize that you had certain rocks in your backpack
Mhm.
until you get into the relationship. So what, healing is not like a destination. So at what point do you feel like it would be okay? Or even if you feel like that in a relationship, how do you like challenge that while you're already in a relationship?
Well, it's more of the being aware. Okay, these are my red flags. So let's say I was married to someone who was financially abusive.
Mm-hmm.
We separated, and now I'm in a new relationship. I just have to be aware that whenever my new partner starts talking about finances, that I know some red flags are going to go up.
Mm.
And how do I talk about them or challenge them either with my partner or with a therapist or trusted professional? Um, how do I take those beliefs, challenge them in the moment
Mm-hmm.
so that it doesn't impact my current partner?
How
Because
would
they're
you do that?
always so. Let's say my partner was going through my bank finances and was like, "Oh, you spent $200 at Hobby Lobby.
Mm-hmm.
What did you buy at Hobby Lobby?"
Yeah.
That may come up and be like a trauma reaction.
Mm.
Like I may get on edge. I may be more irritable,
Yeah.
and then feel like my partner is attacking me. But if I don't challenge that, like, okay, my partner is not attacking me. He is just asking me what I bought.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring it more to the present relationship. I'm having this thought and I'm having this reaction because my previous partner used to bring this up,
Mm-hmm.
not my current partner. So it's like coaching yourself through it to really challenge and bring it to the present moment and validate yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like you want to say, hey, this was a really traumatic time for me and things were really bad. And I understand that this is why I feel this way. And it's okay for me to feel this way.
Yeah.
However, and it's okay for me to have to challenge and automatically think this when my current partner does that. But they do not financially abuse me.
Mm.
Therefore, this is a healthy relationship.
Okay. And so then how I can see how you can do that, challenging those beliefs in a relationship. So how would someone that is trying to heal on their own do that? Because like I said, some of those things come up only when you're in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
No one can really financially abuse you when you're single, right?
Mhm.
No one can really, you're not really being emotionally manipulated or anything when you're single. So how can you challenge or heal those parts of you that in a sense aren't actually being triggered when you're single and healing?
So I think it depends kind of where the person is.
Mm.
Um, and is it causing any problems? If you're single and healing, right, that financial and emotional abuse isn't going to come up
Mm-hmm.
because there's no other way. But in the single aspect, it would be okay. We call them stuck points. Here are my stuck points of if I get into a relationship with someone, they will financially abuse me.
Mm.
So, what can happen is these stuck points even keep us from forming new relationships. Therefore, we can't challenge them.
Oh, yeah.
So, examining, coming up with, okay, here are the roots, here are, talk about core beliefs as being roots of a tree, right? It's really what feeds in the tree, it's what gathers everything. So, knowing what your stuck point is, what that core belief is related to a relationship is really where you want to start at when you're single. and then moving into that relationship, then you can start to practice in like real time challenging those beliefs.
So, like, even like challenging, like, because I know some people are like, I'm never getting back in a relationship. I'm never doing that. So it's like all of those reasons why you're saying never challenge those things when
Yeah.
you're single.
Yep.
No one likes to do that.
No,
That doesn't
no
sound
one,
fun
we
at
don't
all.
like that.
That
Yeah.
doesn't sound fun at all. No.
But I would even say, when we are single, is having a healthy relationship with yourself,
Mm.
because a lot of times we don't even know how to treat ourselves well, or we lose our identity.
Mm.
Right? We go from this we thinking to I. Like, how do I build a relationship with myself? How do I treat myself well? How do I be kind to myself? Because in these relationships, especially these very toxic relationships, the negative things that were said to us becomes our internal dialogue.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we have to retrain our brain to be kind to ourselves, to be loving, and like treat yourself. Like, go out, go date yourself
Yeah.
to discover
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah. Have you ever, do you watch Park and Recs?
Oh, I love Parks and Rec. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Treat
man.
yourself.
Treat yourself.
We have a treat
If you don't watch Park and Recs, you need to go watch Park and Recs.
Yes.
I was, because I like, speaking from my own experience, I would definitely say once coming out of the marriage, I talked about this on another episode. I became so like overly ambitious where I didn't sit with myself.
Mm.
I was like, those are emotions and that's disgusting. I don't want to deal with those things. So I was just always busy. Even with my 3 kids, we were just busy. Until the point I just got burnt out. And then having to sit with those, you're right, I really have to sit with like, what are the things that I now believe about Brittany? And why do I believe that? And are those beliefs really true? And if they are true, because some of them were true. I feel like in the marriage, there's definitely, we both had faults. And so there were some faults that are true, but it was really like, does this remain true? And if I don't like it about myself, how do I then change this in order to be healthier? And I did not like any of it. I did not like it.
Yeah, that's probably why you're so busy. You may have been avoiding. There's a little bit of avoidance.
I feel like, well, when people talk about avoid and anxious, I kind of feel like I have both.
Mhm.
I feel like I can dabble in both.
That's fair.
So disgusting. So weird. I feel like I'm better now, though.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be like all the way better. Is that a thing? I hear people say secure attachment, but
I say it waxes and wanes, right? It,
Okay.
think of it like seasons. It's the season that you're in.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have to like be so obsessed with being secure. Just know that it comes and goes.
Yeah. And then some thoughts or some beliefs will creep back in over years, because a lot of times we're not always the best at keeping our thoughts on a healthy track.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of nowhere, you may have the thought of, okay, well, am I secure? Can I trust? Can I be honest? Can I be vulnerable?
Mm.
And then that's where you check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'm
Mm.
like, okay, yes, actually, exactly.
Sorry,
You got to check yourself, because if you continue to let that thought creep in and you don't challenge it and you don't push it away, it's going to become a habit again, a thinking habit.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be, before we end, what would be like your, I want to say your final advice for somebody, but someone that does have like these inner child wounds that are coming up, like, is there something that you can say, do this right now, or practice this right now?
I would really encourage journaling, actually writing it out. And there's prompts that you can find online, but really exploring like what the meaning of an event was, or what the meaning behind the childhood trauma is to you now. Because a lot of times shame and guilt accompanies childhood wounds.
Yeah.
And we say, well, it was my fault. Like, and really trying to get into a place where you move into acceptance of, hey, this really bad thing happened to me, but that's not who I am. This is not who defines me.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have a business.
I do.
And people can contact you.
They can.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So it is just me. And in the business. Business is called Bulletproof Psychological Services.
Okay.
They can contact me directly by email. So my last name, Browning, PSYD at Gmail.
Okay. And that will also be in the caption. What type of services do you provide?
Currently, I only provide consultation.
Okay.
So this is consultation services. I do not provide any type of clinical services.
Okay. So you have it. If you need a consultation, her information will be below. I hope this conversation was very helpful and healing for all of you. And we're definitely going to have Dr. Browning back. So be prepared for the next episode. Talk to you guys later.